In the early 1900s, Vogler Funeral Home was the largest funeral home in the state.
Vogler Funeral Home started in 1858, kind of in the advent of the Civil War, and we've cruised along through 155 years of change. And Salem Funeral Home started in 2006.
I am Mosby Vogler, and owner and operator of Salem Funeral Home. I'm a funeral director and have been working in the funeral industry for 35 to 40 years.
I grew up around the funeral home, roller skating in the chapel, holding doors for visitations, and so I always knew as a part of my history and part of my family. I didn't actually know that I'd be working at the funeral home until later, after college, but I'm very glad that I made that decision. My name's John Vogler. I'm the 6th generation at Salem Funeral Home, and I'm a funeral director here with my dad.
This whole operation started about 1770 when Philip Vogler came over from Germany. He settled in Maine and then sailed down to what we call the Wachovia track here in Winston-Salem. Philip's grandson was a gentleman named A.C. Vogler, Alexander Christoph, and he was the one who originally started Vogler Funeral Home in 1858 in this building as we are in today, in this foyer. He was basically a cabinet maker by trade, and that developed into making caskets and coffins. One thing led to another, and the funeral industry started. We grew, and we continued to be the first in an awful lot of things.
You know, the first ambulance,
the first horse-drawn carriage,
the first pull motor,
the first motorized ambulance,
the first automated hearse.
So in 1988, our family, like so many people, like so many families, needed to do a little bit of planning for the future. We were advised that because some were in the business, some were out of the business, that the best possibility would be to liquidate Vogler Funeral Home. We found a group of small funeral homes in Stamford, Connecticut. They approached us, and it seemed like a good match. So my dad, along with the rest of the family, made the decision to sell to a group called the Sentinel Group. Sentinel Group sold to a very large, publicly owned funeral chain.
When it was Vogler Funeral Homes and owned by a corporation, I didn't think that I was going to be doing this, but when my dad started Salem Funeral Home, and it was back to being a family business, I knew that there was definitely a place for me here.
We worked for them for 15 years, and then in 2006, I found a way to establish Salem Funeral Home here in our original building. So we started this in July of 2006. 4 years later, we started a new business over on Renolda Road. It's been a wonderful asset to our business, not only in location, but in flexibility of business. It's a different type of business over there than it is here.
Winston's been very good to us, and hopefully we've been good to the community as well.
Most families, when they start with a funeral home and they trust them, they continue with that over the generations of deaths and problems in their families.
I think that's the most important thing, and that's what's carried us through 6 generations. I mean, we have to have a reputation of assisting families with dignity and honor.
The Vogler name is pretty well established in Winston-Salem, and I think everyone trusts us. The funeral industry is changing now, and we recognize that, and hopefully we'll be able to change with that change.
You know, I'm 6th generation, I'm 30 years old, and I know that we're going to be in this community for a long time, and I want to build on this business and hopefully have a 7th generation working here. Being family owned, being a family business makes it a lot easier.